Welcome back to another live stream on a Thursday night. Happy days. Now the diet national break's over and done with. Get back to the bread and butter of the better butter. The bread and butter of the championship, you stupid old fool. And on the channel tonight we have Wayne, Only Fools in SAFC. How you doing, mate?
I tell you, I'm not too bad, mate. It's another day closer to the weekend. Like you say, the international break's over. Nice to get back to the actual proper football at the weekend in QPR. So, happy days.
Did you watch the England games? Were you excited?
I watched the Ukraine game. I watched about the first 20 minutes and it was that boring. I fell asleep and turned it off. But I watched the game on Tuesday and I thought that was a much better game, which I'm sure we'll touch on a little bit later. But the Scotland game was entertaining, but the Ukraine one was very, very poor.
Nice one. And also on the channel we have Jack. Yes, Jack, how are you doing, mate?
I'm doing well, Canny. Been a tough couple of weeks not talking about Sunderland, haven't it? You know what I mean? I think it drags for me. I don't mind the international football. I can watch it, but like you say, good to get back to the bread and butter. Plenty to talk about. 2 games to preview tonight, I think, haven't we, Terry? We've got QPR and Blackburn, 2 away trips.
Yes, I think we do, mate. So how was your few days been? Are you getting excited towards the weekend now, Jack?
Yeah, it's been a tough week at work for me. Lots of work on. But always good to talk about Sunderland for an hour, take your mind off things. And looking forward to it as always.
Happy days. And also on the channel we have Owen, exiled Mackham. Owen, how are you doing?
I'm good, thank you, Terry. Good to be back on the channel. Good to be talking Sunderland. And thank God the international break's over. Just saying away and off air. It's nice to have some proper football to actually watch. I am proud to be English, but I just can't watch international football. It just bores me. I just have no investment in it. So I'm so grateful that Sunderland are back at the weekend.
Surprising how many people do get bored with international football. I enjoy the competitions, of course, but international football, the friendlies and all that sort of building up to the sort of competitions is a bit boring, isn't it? Puts you to sleep half the time.
I've just been saying, all these nation leagues games and stuff, they just didn't mean now to me. It's just another competition that hinders the season.
And welcome to the viewers.
Sorry to interrupt, Terry. I think they should have all the friendlies and qualifiers all together in one block and then just have the season solid through. You know what I mean? Have 2 or 3 weeks at the end of the season, finish the season a bit earlier, have 2 or 3 weeks at the end of the season whereby the players play the qualifiers. They won't want to because obviously they'll want to go on the holidays after they've had the finals and everything. But have a couple of weeks where you play all the qualifiers and then then you don't have the breaks in the middle, do you? You don't have a break in September, October, November. You can play a solid season.
Exactly.
Good idea. Definitely food for thought. Right, so on the chat, I don't know who's on the chat because I'm going to phone tonight. So we're going to have Wayne. Wayne's going to let me know how many people are on the chat. And welcome to the chat. Welcome to the channel, everybody. Hope you're going to be enjoying tonight.
Yeah, we've got quite a few in the chat already. So Mick Rivers, good evening, one and all. Hope all is well. That's Palmas Mackham's in there. Evening, lads. James Sutton. Evening, everybody. How are the lads? SAFC uploads. Hi, lads. Ryan McCormack. Evening, lads. James Sutton says, can't wait to see Burstow. He is the new Drogba, even though he has ball rash. I think it was net rash. SAFC uploads a sub to all of you. Well, thank you very much. That's greatly appreciated. Gary Talbot, evening, lads. SAFC uploads again. Lads, I would like to hear your predictions on the chat. We'll do it later on. Conrad Tank, evening all. Liam Brennan, hello, lads. I fancy a 3-1 win on Saturday. We'll have far too much. And James Sutton, I ban international football. Why should players we pay get injured on international duty? It's a damn disgrace. David Joblin says, evening, boys. David's in there, evening, lads. And Marianne Trousers in there. Hi, everyone. That's the chat.
Happy days. Right, so also we're sponsored by something called Toffs, the official football fancy Sunderland shirt. Is that what it's named after?
You're getting there, Terry. You're getting there.
What is it?
It's the old-fashioned football shirt.
Oh, right, the old-fashioned football. I was doing that, but it's on this side, isn't it? There we go. Right, so before we get into the preview tonight to do with QPR, anybody seen the Tony Mowbray interview?
I've seen bits of it.
What's your thoughts on him, Wayne?
Some of the things that he comes out with, I just think he's so funny. I mean, the one about his contract extension.
Yeah, that's funny.
He didn't find out about it until Jack Clark giving him a thumbs up on the training ground. Well, surely you must have known. But typical Tony Mowbray, great entertainment. But I've seen a bit of a strange one. But all in all, another good press conference from him. Just says it how it is, doesn't he?
Why does he always eat sweets at the start?
He should be about 40 stone, shouldn't he?
We're going to see one.
I was saying, I think it's funny as well when he was talking about his contract. He says he said he never reads it, he just signs it. He must be an absolute nightmare in shops and things when he's taking out credit agreements and stuff. And never reading it. He
must be the only manager in the 92 that doesn't read his contract before he signs it. I tell you what,
he must be.
Did you watch it, Jack?
I didn't. I did see the bit on Twitter because I was looking through Twitter this afternoon, and I did see the bit about he saw Jack Clark give him a thumbs up, and he asked him what it was about, and he says, "Well done on the new deal." And he was like, "What new deal?" I think it just shows that Tony Mowbray eats, sleeps, and breathes football, though, doesn't it? He absolutely loves football. He comes across as a manager that's thoroughly into that side of the game and not really too bothered about the contracts and the money side of things and the off the field stuff. You know, I think if you asked him that sort of stuff, he probably doesn't. In the nicest possible way, he probably doesn't know a lot of what's going on behind the scenes at Sunderland. He'll probably say, "I don't need to know as long as I know about the players and what they're playing like on a Saturday afternoon." So that's what it comes across to me, that he's completely focused on the football side of things.
You know, it's going to be tongue in cheek, all this Jack Clark thumbs up malarkey. He's just saying that on purpose as a joke. I thought he triggered his own contract. Is that not true, like Jack?
I'm not sure what the situation is. I mean, I know he's in the last year of his deal, but was it like a rolling thing? Was it? He signed a sort of rolling contract. It just rolls on. I mean, I'm not sure. Somebody might know a little bit more about it than me. I do know that he only signed a 2-year deal last year, though, so this is technically his last season.
Did he say something along the lines of it was triggered because of how he did last season or something? I'm sure I read that earlier when I was reading on the Echo website about it, saying that because he finished in the playoffs last season, that 12-month option automatically triggered or something. That's what he was told when he asked about it, apparently. Which like I said, I think it's got to be tongue in cheek because, like he said, why would he not read his contract? You know, I mean, they could have put anything in there.
But if it was how well he did last year, wouldn't you think they would have offered him it straight after last season? Do you know what I mean? Would have gone there. You've done a good year. There's another year. Why wait until sort of 5 or 6 games into the season and go, oh, by the way, you did quite well last year. So there you go. It just seems a bit of strange timing for me. I mean, everyone's happy. No, I'm sure no Sunderland fan would be disappointed with him signing another year. But I think the timing's just a bit strange for me. That's all.
What was your thoughts on what he was saying about the strikers having no strikers? How the team's adapted now to having no strikers? Wayne, do you think he's going to change it up eventually, or what?
Well, I think eventually he will do. I think once we get them up and running. I think Burstow, we'll probably touch on it a little bit later, but I think Burstow will probably be on the bench at the weekend. Rushin, I think, still waiting for his visa, apparently, or all his paperwork, according to Tony Mowbray today. I think in the long run, one of them or two of them will be in the side, but it's who do you leave out? At this moment in time, you can't really change the team from Southampton, so it'll probably be the same team at the weekend. But I think as it evolves, as the season goes on, and I don't think Burstow will have come from Chelsea to sit on the bench, so we'll have to just wait and see, but I think the strikers will at some point have to be put in. We'll kind of keep on doing what we're doing without the striker.
It was on Twitter today for me. I think it was Twitter. I think it was not maybe on Instagram, where Burstow almost took out Russian, didn't he? He broke his leg on the first challenge of the first train session. Absolutely bizarre.
But Russian did score. Have you seen he still went and scored?
It wasn't twinged his hamstring though. He was looking a bit funny when he got up. Shite me hamstring. Who's on the chat now then, Wayne? How many people are on there? So we've kind of got 81 people watching. Back in the chat, Bristolian Mackham says, nice to see Owen back on the channel. Nice one for Owen. Dan Wilkes says, hi lads, how's we? Philippe, not been seeing him on the channel for a while. He's doing well. He's just grafting as per usual. Hoping to be back on the channel soon. Mick Griffiths says, I love to hear Mowbray talk. I don't think he means to be funny, just the way he is. SAFC uploads, I hope 09 does a cat them all on callback. Dan Wilkes says, Mowbray loves revels. Mick Griffiths says, yes, he heard him say it was to do with the league position. So like what Jack's just been saying there, and Owen, apparently it was something to do with where they finished last season, why they give him a new contract. Right, so Owen, we all chatted about the Southampton game on our last show. Let's have a quick couple of minutes on what were your thoughts of the game and how does this move forward to the QPR game?
I thought it was fantastic. It was, straight out. It's what we've been wanting all season. I think, at the start of the year, it was straight out of the trap, straight up and at them. Those 2 early goals were what we needed just to settle them down. I think, if we'd had a couple of early goals in those games against, the game against Ipswich, for example, the game against Preston, I don't think we'd have lost those games. But straight out of the traps, great performance. Ekwar was outstanding. I mean, I was listening to his interview today on SAFC Unfiltered on the way to work, and he is an absolutely fantastic guy. The way he talks about the game, his understanding of the game, his determination to be a success, and I think you just saw on Saturday ago, or whatever Saturday it was against Southampton. Now it's so long ago. This lad's got everything about him. He's just, I think, once he gets that little bit more aggression into his game, I think we've got a potential Vieira style player on our hands there. He is just absolutely outstanding. And I think, one of the highlights has got to be Jewis and Bennett's triple pirouette, which Pierre Ekwah actually talked about in his interview. And he was like saying, apparently, when he did the first one, he thought, yeah, that's good. Second one, he thought, yeah, what are you doing now? And then after the third one, he was like, oh, for God's sake, man, stop it. Give us the ball. And obviously, Riggy scoring was just fantastic to see, and a fantastic celebration at the end. But it was a complete performance, wasn't it? And, a very highly fancy Southampton team, we absolutely took them to the cleaners. And I think if you'd said to anyone before the game that was going to happen, I think you'd have been carted off to the funny farm, wouldn't you? You'd have been said, you're absolutely off your head, you are just really drunk or something. But it was just an outstanding performance. And I think, like the lads were saying, it's going to be really difficult to change that team for the QPR game on Saturday. I mean, I know Patrick Roberts has trained all week, so he's fit again. And obviously Mason Burstow's come here to play. That's what we've told Chelsea, that we're going to give him minutes. But it's who do you leave out? Because even Abdullah Bar, who's had some criticism this season, was outstanding on the wing, wasn't he? A couple of assists. So just absolutely delighted with the way they played. And it seemed like they had something to prove on Saturday, something to really go out and show people, what they're capable of. And they really sent a signal to the rest of the league that when this team are on form, don't mess with us.
Yeah, thank you. Jack, so what, Ekwah, do you think he can have some aggression in his play? Do you think Ekwah can go to the very top?
I don't see any reason why not, Terry. I think he's got all the potential. I hope we don't put too much expectation on him, you know what I mean? Because he played really, really well against Southampton, but I don't think he's going to turn in that level of performance every week. Hey, if he does, absolutely fantastic. We'll be struggling to hold on to him. But I think, as is with all young players, we need to just give them time. They're going to have odd games where they don't play as well. They are a young squad. They're going to make mistakes, and you have to allow for that. But from that performance, I think we all said it last week, didn't we, Terry? It's a Premier League performance. It was a performance from like a player from the Premier League, almost as if he dropped down. He had athleticism. He carried the ball up and down the pitch. He won several strong crunching tackles, and obviously popped up with 2 goals as well. I mean, if you'd said we'd scored 5, if someone said it before the game, we're going to score 5 today, I don't think many players many people would have said, "Oh, Ekwah's going to get 2." So it was excellent. But yeah, he was phenomenal. But I hope he can continue that level of performance, because I don't think he's going to hit that high every week. I hope he does, but I think it might be hard.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm hoping, Wayne, that we go into the QPR match and don't go in thinking that because we've won 5-0, so that we can do that every week. I hope it's going to be sort of grounded performance at the weekend.
Well, that's down to Tony Mowbray and the staff, innit? To try and not let them get ahead of themselves. It can be easy going down there against a team who are, not in the best of form, but they're still a dangerous side. We know what the ends with teams are like, the physical. And if you didn't win your physical battles, you get beat. So you've got to go down there and play a natural game and just do the basics right, like we did against Southampton, and the rest will follow, really.
Yeah, Wayne, I mean, we've got a couple of characters for QPR. We've got Gareth Ainsworth, and we all know about him. Never had a haircut for 20 years. And then we've got Jack Colback as well. Jack Colback will probably be starting against us. So what's your opinions on those two gadgets?
Well, Ainsworth, we had our battles with him last season in League One, didn't we? And obviously in the playoff final, so he's probably got a score to settle against us, if you like. He's got his rock band as well. I think he's actually a member of a band as well. So I'm not a fan of him. And I think he was linked with us, wasn't he, a few years ago to get the job here. And I was hoping and praying he didn't get it, which he didn't.
We got Phil Patterson instead.
That's right. So it might have been a good thing we got him, but his teams are always physical. They're always tough to play against. So it'll not be an easy game. And Colback, apparently since he went there, he's been probably one of their better players, along with Begovic, the goalkeeper. From what I've been reading, he's done a great job since he went there. At this level, he's probably half decent, and he's 30 odd now. But Sod's Law put in a good performance against us at the weekend, guarantee it.
Well, he's played 3 games for QPR, and he scored 2 goals. Jack Colback and obviously Gareth Ainsworth. He's gone to QPR. I mean, they've won 2 and lost 3 so far in 17th place, only 1 point behind Sunderland. So, what's your thoughts on Ainsworth, Colback? Oh, I'm sure you're a massive fan of Colback.
Oh, huge fan of Colback. I think I even tweeted out that the iconic picture of Lee Cattermole stood over him today, just because just to remind them. But yeah, I mean, I was listening to another podcast during the week whilst I was walking my dog, and they had a QPR fan on there, and he was talking about Colback, and he was saying that Colback's come in and he's given them something that they were missing. He's given them a bit of a sort of a tough streak to their midfield, a bit of a nastiness to their midfield that they were missing. But I'm sure he'll be, what's the word I'm looking for? Welcomed and made to feel appreciated by the away support on Saturday. I'm looking forward to hearing that and listening to what the response is to him. Ainsworth, I think we should be able to overcome an Ainsworth team. I mean, let's face it, we've played Wickham often enough. We beat them in the playoff final. We know how Ainsworth lines his teams up and how he wants to play a football. So I think we should know by now how to put an Ainsworth team away. And yeah, they have improved from last year. I think if you go back to that 3-0 victory at Loftus Road with I think Clark scored twice and I think was it O'Nien got the other one. I think. Yeah, they have moved on there. They've brought in quite a few new players on the cheap, but realistically, I think you're right, Terry. I think as long as we go there with our heads on, not this, we won our last game 5-0, it's going to be a walkover. It's a game we should be winning, even though it's a win. I mean, if you go back to last season as well, I mean, our away form was outstanding. If we can continue that on, and we certainly look to have the players who can still play with that style, that quick counter-attack, that quick, response to the teams coming on to us. I think we've got every chance down there. And yeah, I mean, Colback, I hate Jack Colback. I really do hate him with a passion.
Jack, are you going to the game? Are you going all the way down to London?
I'm not actually, Terry. I've got other engagements this weekend. I'm actually the stag do, so I'm not going. I'll be at Blackburn on Wednesday though. So I'm at Blackburn on Wednesday. I think I agree with what the lads say. Gareth Ainsworth, you know what you're going to get from a Gareth Ainsworth team. I think QPR have improved. They're a strong physical team, not strong as in like the strength of the actual quality of squad. Strong as in physically strong. I think they've got some big physical players, and you know what you're going to get. You're going to get the lads committed. Probably a few diagonal long balls. They're going to be decent at set pieces. You're going to have to switch on and not give any daft free kicks away around the box, that type of thing. But I think really we're going into games now, Terry. I think our squad's strong enough now to going into games now, not worrying too much about the other opposition. I think if we can look at it from our perspective and say, if we play our style of play and we get our good players on the ball, that might sound a little bit arrogant, but in a lot of games this season, we should be coming out on top and getting a positive result. I'm not saying we're going to win 5-0 every week, don't get us wrong, but if we play anywhere near our best, I have a feeling that QPR will have too much for QPR. I really do think that. But we'll have to, not be too complacent. But I don't think this Sunderland squad is complacent. You know what I mean? I don't think we've been complacent on that many occasions. Have we? Have we really not turned up in a game where we've been expected to really dominate an opposition? And have we looked complacent? I don't think we have. I think they're young enough to be hungry, and I don't think young, hungry players will be complacent. I think they'll show the right attitude and hopefully turn up in the right way. So yeah, I think as long as we're sort of anywhere near our best, we should be getting something from the game. Absolutely.
You go to the majority of the away games, Jack. Will there be some feisty songs for Jack Colback this weekend, do you think?
Absolutely. I don't think the 90 minutes will go by without him receiving one or two chants. But yeah, I think taking me sort of Sunderland head off, he's a tidy footballer at this level, isn't he? He's done well, apparently. He is what he is. He's a sort of solid centre midfield player. He's past 30 plus, so he's not going to improve. He's not going to suddenly turn into anything special, but he is tidy for this level, for where QPR are, bottom 6. He's decent at keeping the ball. He'll probably put a couple of tackles in. But absolutely, you be sure there'll be some songs about him from the Sunderland fans in the UAE, and rightfully so. What he did, it's unforgivable, really, isn't it? So he deserves it. He deserves the odd chance. But as long as the Sunderland fans chant about our team more than the chant about callback. Give them a little bit of stick, but focus on, getting behind our lads and not too much on the ginger pigeon.
Spot on there, Jack. Well, so if you're enjoying tonight's live stream, we're 20 minutes in. Please give us a thumbs up. Smash the thumbs up. We're trying to get 100 likes on a night. So if you do give us a thumbs up, much appreciated. Is there any feisty comments on the chat tonight there, Wayne?
What we've got in here? Mick Griffiths, the way we've been playing, it was just a matter of time we give somebody a good hiding. Hopefully there's more to come when a forward gets on the side. DJ says, what's an evening, everyone? Does anybody know how Lee Cattermole got on today? He was here for a coaching job. Apparently, he did come for the under-18s, but apparently they've come to a mutual decision that he's not going to be coming. And Owen's just put that in the chat there about not coming, which would have been nice to see him back, but apparently that's not going to happen. Mick Griffiths, the third kit should have been the second kit. The pink kit's horrible. I think somebody was commenting about the third kit there. Does anybody like it? Conrad Tank, that chair is a good player, carries their offence. Is he still there? Is he?
Yeah.
He's still there.
I've heard he's on his arse too much.
Ba-boom. SCFC chat, lost track of time. How's it going, lads? Thank God this break's nearly over. Ekwa, shades of Pogba. Patrick says, hi, Terry, mate. Emma, evening, boys. We'll catch up when I'm home. Early hours, have a good one. I think just flying back from holidays today. That's it. That's it. We're currently on 48 likes, Terry. 48. 106 watching, 48 likes. You're on mute.
I always do that, don't I? I was just saying, if you have your own channel out there, just give us a thumbs up if you're enjoying it. Much appreciated. Anyway, so we'll go to Owen. Team at the weekend. Are you in this camp where we don't change the winning side if we're in 5-0? Are you happy to bring Roberts back in?
I think we stick with. I think you stick with how we finished against. How we started against Southampton. I think it would be exceptionally harsh on Abdullah Bar to drop him. Because look, at the end of the day, what would it do to his confidence if you say, "Oh, look, you were brilliant against Southampton, you really were," but look, now you're back on the bench again. I think you could damage the lad's confidence. There's none of those lads who played against Southampton did themselves any damage at all. They all played really, really well. So I think it's fair enough to give them the opportunity to start again. The other reason would be Roberts has just come back off a hamstring injury. I know he's trained all week, but I think I heard Stephen Elliott once talk about the fact that fitness you get in training is not the same fitness you get out on the pitch. And I would be looking at easing Patrick back in now. Yes, he probably is one of our best players with Jack Clark at this moment in time, but you don't want him coming back up, him starting a game, him breaking down again, and him being out for even longer. Perhaps after 60, 70 minutes, you could bring him on, give him half an hour, 20 minutes to get some match minutes in his legs. And the next week, perhaps you give him another half an hour, 40 minutes, perhaps just to bring him back in. And then, especially as we've got this Saturday, Wednesday, Sunday, Friday, whatever, going on the next 5 games, we're going to need the full squad. So we do need Roberts back. I think you will have an interchange of players and a rotation of players. But no, Terry, I think you've got to go in with the same team on Saturday, to be honest with you. As much as I'd love to see Mason Burstow get a run out and Patrick back, I think it would be harsh on the likes of Bradley Dack or Job or Abdullah Bar to leave him out.
How many players do you think the new players will be on the bench?
I reckon just Burstow. Just going off what Mowbray was saying today, he was saying Pembele's just still coming back from injury, so he's not available. He was saying that the Adil, whose second name I really cannot pronounce, Ayushi.
Have a go.
Ayushi, is it something like that?
We've all tried.
Let's just call him Dave. He apparently he's still getting his fitness back and he needs time to adapt. Rusin apparently it's all down to his work permit, but also Tony Mowbray said he's going to need time to adapt as well. So I'll be honest with you, I think we'll only see Burstow of those new lads on the bench. I think it'll be another couple of weeks before we see Dave and Pembele and Rusin. I think we might see sooner than that.
I heard him say something about was it Adel Alouche? He had this behind closed doors Hartlepool thing. What was that about?
Yeah, he did.
I think there's been some kind of like a friendly game behind closed doors. I mean, apparently he was impressed with Dave. Apparently he's done really, really well. And it's his. I think he's another one who might take a while to get to adjust to English football, but the only way they get used to it is by putting them in. So I think Owen's right. I think there'll only be probably Burstow on the bench out of the new ones on Saturday.
Did you say something about being a bounce ball game? What's all that about? Like,
balls
bounce?
I don't know what that means. Jack might know. It was a bounce game or a bump game or something. I've never heard of it.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, Jack?
No, I'm not sure unless he means like a bump to get them back in the stride of things because they haven't been playing for 2 games. Or I'm really not sure. It's open interpretation, that one.
So Wayne, team on there Saturday. You happy with the same team as we started against Southampton? What was your thoughts on the performances of Job and Dak?
Well, I think Dak's getting better with every game. Job, I mean, and I had a fantastic game up front when he scored 2 goals the week, but he's not a forward, is he? I mean, he has been hit-missy in the games, but when he does contribute, he's really, really good. I just think he's still a young lad. He's still developing, and I think once Burstow is fit, I think he might be the one who gets left out just to get used up to the speed and to give him a little bit of rest and not burn him out. I think that's what Tony Mowbray was hinting at, that he'd be the one who would be using in a rotation. But I've been impressed with the 2 of them. He's going to be some player, Joby, when he gets older. And Dak is a perfect player for to bring him on. I think they both link up quite well. But on Saturday, I think we've got to keep the same team. I agree with one. Even to bring Roberts back would be a risk after a hamstring. If Bars can play anything like what he played on Saturday, then leave him in. I mean, I've been one of his biggest critics. I don't think he would make it because I just think he's been poor. But on Saturday, let's hope it's not a flash in the pan and he can get some consistency because he played really, really well and he looked really dangerous. So for me, I'd keep the same team with the option of Burstow and Roberts off the bench if we need them.
What's the scores in the doors for the chat then? Is there how many people got likes at the moment?
We've got 111 people watching and we're currently on 63 likes. So laid back Jack's comment in there of getting the likes up, which is our very own Jack. It seems to have worked. So listen to Jack and get them.
Get them smashed, lads and lasses. If you like the content, show us you like the content. How way, man? Doesn't take you 2 seconds.
Go on.
Exactly. Thank you very much, Jack. Good, wise words. So, Jack, your team. I think would you start Roberts and drop Bar, Jack, or would you stick with the rest of us and keep the same team?
It's a tough one because on paper, as well as, and it is harsh because Bard did really, really well, and absolutely, I'm not sort of doubting that for 1 second. On paper, you would say Patrick Roberts is a better player than Bard, but I agree with what the lads have said. I think bringing him back might just be not a massive risk, but you know what I mean? I think, Roberts might be okay off the bench, see how Bard starts, see if he can follow it up, see if Bard can, play again like he played against Southampton, say, look, it's yours to lose for now. It probably isn't, you know what I mean? It's probably a bit of a fib because Patrick Roberts is probably the number 1 choice, but maybe give Mowbray just can get a bit of competition and say, look, at the minute, I'm going to try you on Saturday, see how you do. I think long term, like you say, Patrick Roberts will probably be back in Wednesday night against Blackburn, if I'm honest, but I'll agree with the lads. I think it's, we played so well last time out. If it isn't broken, why fix it? Keep the same squad as much as we can. I agree. I think Burstow will probably be on the bench, possibly one of the French lads. I know that, you discussed that maybe they're not fit, but they might just put them on the bench to give them a little bit of, first-time experience, get them maybe to know the players a little bit more. I don't know, but it's hard to pick any faults, with the lads. I don't think one player had anything less than a 7 out of 10 against Southampton, so why change it, you know what I mean? Keep it the same.
Do you think Dak could be the furthest man forward for Sunderland on Saturday?
I don't know because was Bellingham up front against Southampton and Dak behind him? Because I think that the sort of interchanged a little bit. I saw them swapping. Yeah, I saw Bradley Dak running in behind and sort of Bellingham dropping off a little bit. So I think they'll be the same again. I think they'll interchange. I think Bellingham will probably start there, but don't be surprised to see Bradley Dak as the furthest forward player. Maybe, chasing down and being the first player if the opposition have got the ball as the press, and being the one that sort of wins any balls in behind if we do go in behind. That's the beauty of the system. That's the beauty of having so many attacking midfield players is that they're flexible, do you know what I mean? And you should be able to interject.
If someone on the chat could let me know what time did Chris Rigg come on as a substitute in the Southampton game, let me know in the comments down below. So Chris Rigg, he scored a goal for the under-18s during the week. I'm not quite sure what time he came on. Does he start to get more minutes on the pitch now? I know he's very young. It's going to take a while for him to get, so they don't want to burn him out to give him too much game time, but to give him a bit more time in the next few games.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, there's that saying, isn't there? If you're good enough, you're old enough, and he's certainly proved, hasn't he, that he's good enough, and he hasn't looked out of place. I mean, he still looks like a kid, doesn't he, on the field? He still looks like a little lad running around in the Sunderland top, and it's mental to think that that he was only 15 when he made his debut. But yeah, I think he needs more minutes. It's also, I think, going to be something that we can use to keep hold of him as well. If it's a case that we're giving him first team football and we're giving him 20 minutes here, half an hour here, starting him perhaps in cup games, and when we're going through this 3 games a week malarkey, giving him a start maybe here and there against perhaps some of the lower teams in the league. It's all good points to try and keep him in place. I've read this week, you've got Manchester United sniffing round him, that lot up the road, the Saudi national team sniffing round him. But, at the end of the day, we can sell it to him that, look, you're going to go there. You're not going to get first team football. You're going to sit in there under 21s for 3 years. You're going to go out on loan to some League One, some Championship club, and then you might turn into a whatever happened to. Whereas here, you're going to get first team football. Yeah, in 4 or 5 years, you might move on, but then obviously we're going to get a big transfer fee for him. But yeah, I'd be giving him a 20 minutes there, half an hour here, definitely. But you can't really start him in a run of games because I think, like you said, Terry, you could burn him out. He is only 16 years old, the lad, and you don't want him, been a whatever happened to, do you? In a year's time.
I think I remember. He scored 2 goals with his head. He scored the goal during the week with his head coming in off the right, the same as we did against Southampton. But when he scored that goal in America, was that with his left foot?
Yeah,
I think Bar was giving the assist. Did he slot it with his left foot?
I think he slotted under the goalkeeper with his left foot, didn't he? I think he did, aye. And they got one against Crewe with his right foot, didn't he? Yeah,
so he's obviously got skills in every department, hasn't he? So if you were the manager and say, I don't know, but we're winning a couple of goals, what sort of time would you attempt to bring him on, like Owen?
I'd give him sort of 70 minutes to start off with, give him 20 minutes, and then you just slowly increase the amount of time. You give him 60 minutes, and then give him a start here and there. But I think 20 minutes, half an hour for a 16-year-old lad, bringing him in, getting him used to things. It's not going to put too much pressure on him. Second, it's going to show him that he's got a pathway to the first team here, and in the thirdly, it's going to give him a chance to impress and to show us exactly how good he is. And you never know. With you've got Joe Bellingham, who's 17 years old, playing at the moment. Come next season, hopefully he's still here. He could well be starting for us, like Job is.
Exactly. Right, Wayne. Same question to you to do with Chris Rigg. Has anybody put in the comments down below what time he came on?
They're all saying about 79 minutes, roughly about 79 minutes. There's some other ones in there. Yaya. It was being compared with Yaya Toure as well, so he's got some big shoes to fill.
So 79 minutes, Wayne. Would you be tempted to just keep it the same for the next few games? Just 10 minutes here, 10 minutes there?
I think it'll depend.
It depends how the game pans out, I suppose.
I think it'll depend on the situation. I mean, I know when he comes on, he plays without fear, doesn't he? He seems so laid back and nothing seems to faze him. He's not afraid to get stuck in. It's just a shame that we got knocked out of the Carabao Cup, because I think if we're getting a decent run, he would have probably started some games in that. It would have been
that game as well, didn't he?
Crewe. And I think that would have been great for his development. So in the FA Cup, he might get a decent run. That he might get a few starts, but I would just keep it the same. If we're winning, last 20 minutes, but slowly increase as we're going through, and just keep him developing. Like one said, we didn't want to burn him out too much and putting too much pressure on him. But I think if he did start, I don't think he would let anybody down anywhere. He seems to be he's a good player now, and long may it continue. Really, let's just hope we can keep on to him, keep hold of him.
I can't quite remember, but Jack will probably know. Who did Chris Rigg come on for, and who did Benetti come on for? Was it Jack Clark to go for Benetti or what?
I don't know. I'll have a check though. He came on for, let me see. Again, Southampton we're talking about here, yeah?
Yeah, Southampton, yeah. Because it's
Rigg came on for Bar, and Benetti came on for Clark. Jack Clark.
Right, so Jack Clark and
82nd minute according to BBC Sport, and I'm not an oracle. I've just checked on BBC Sport, by the way, so I'll admit I'll hold my hands up and say I'm not cheating. Well, I am cheating.
That could be the problem with the weekend. If Roberts is on the bench and we take off be tempted to put on Roberts rather than put on Chris Rigg. Do you reckon, like Jack?
Yeah, I think it sometimes depends on the game as well. Do you know what I mean? I think if it's a big physical game where there's yellow cards and there's kicks going in and things like that, I know a lot of fans will say get him in there, but I think that's going to give him a good experience. I'm the opposite side. I think actually you want to try and protect somebody who's 16-year-old. His body's still developing. You'd hate to think you're putting him in the risk of getting injuries and getting kicked and things like that. You don't want that. So ideally, we get 3 or 4-0 up every game, and he comes on with 20 minutes to go. But no, realistically, I think you've just got to manage the situation. If we're playing well and it looks like we're getting a lot on the ball and controlling the game to an aspect, then get him on by all means. I'd say 75 minutes to start with, and then maybe as Owens said, 5 minutes earlier, 70, and then 65, and then I think the thing is for me as well, his body's still going to be developing. Do you know what I mean? He's 16-year-old. I mean, by the time he gets to 18, he's probably going to have a lot more muscle and be 2 or 3 stone heavier as well. Do you know what I mean? So, I mean, it all depends on body shape as well. So I think you've got to manage that to a certain extent as well. So I think as long as we manage it, and he's playing under a manager that will get the best out of him, and a squad, and hopefully a set of fans that will not place too much expectation on him.
Yeah, he's got like a different physique compared to Wayne Rooney when he came at 16, hasn't he? Wayne Rooney's like a little tank one where you can tell Chris Rigg looks about 14, doesn't he? He doesn't look like he's completely filled out just yet, but definitely got the talent and the skill there. Right, we'll go into score predictions. I'm going to go for a 2-0 away win to Sunderland. I don't know, I just fancy it. I know QPR, they beat Borough 2-0, they beat Cardiff 2-1, and they've lost a couple of games by 1 goal. It was Norwich, Southampton. And then they've obviously got a bit of Watford at the start of the season, 4-0 as well. So they've had a couple of defeats and a couple of wins. So, but I don't think they're a bad side. I think we can't take them lightly, and we mustn't sort of be too lenient and go into the game thinking we're gonna win this game. We're gonna roll over and bend over and tackle up the arse, and we're gonna win easy. You know what I mean? Because we're not going to. So we need to really put a hard battle in. And I say I'm going to go for a 2-0 win. Owen, what's your score prediction?
I'm going to go for 3-1. I think they'll probably they'll manage to get one. They have improved, and I think that forward is Sinclair Armstrong or Sinclair, whatever he's called. He's decent, but I think 3-1. I think I think Clark will get one. I think Job will get one, and I'm going to go for a Luke O'Nien screamer to get the third because I love Luke.
Luke O'Nien, I think Trey Hume will take out Jack Colbert. There we go. Did the business other ones.
Oh yeah.
I was
with his dodgy tash.
Aye, definitely. Aye. Wayne, so what's Wayne, you got tash as well, haven't you? But you've got a beat to go with it, so it's not too bad. Right, Wayne, what's your score prediction?
Like I say, it's going to be a tough game as long as we don't go down there and think we're just going to roll over them. I was listening to one of their podcasts today, and I think the centre half, the sign from Steve Cook, going from Forest, he's injured. I think Lyndon Dykes is also injured as well, so 2 of their decent players are not going to be playing. But if we go down there and have the same attitude against Southampton, I think we'll get a win. I'm going to go for a 2-1. And I'm going to go for Jack Clark to score them both against his old club. He was there on loan a few years ago, wasn't he? So 2-1 for me.
All right, well, Gareth Ainsworth, he's been there 19 games and only won 5 games. So will this be another defeat for Gareth Ainsworth, Jack?
I'm afraid it will be, Terry. Yes, I don't often predict Sunderland wins, and less so away from home. But I think so. I think we're in a good run at the minute, aren't we? We're unbeaten in 3. We've kept 2 clean sheets in a row, 7 points out of the last 9. And I think, providing we turn up in the right attitude, and as I said earlier, I think we will. I think this squad's got it's mature beyond its years. I think we'll have too much for them. I think we'll go there on the front foot. We'll play like the home team, have more of the ball in their half, and hopefully create some chances. My score prediction is 2-1. I don't think we'll win as comfortably as we won in February. And that was 3-0. Now, I remember watching that in the pub, and that could have been 4 or 5. We dominated them, although they did miss a penalty that night. QPR did miss a penalty, so that might have changed things. But I think they will score, but I think we'll be 2-0 up, and they might get one back. We'll get 2-0 up, probably Clark and Dak, I think. and then they might get one back with 15 minutes to go when they go sort of throwing the kitchen sink in. But I think we'll have too much. 2-1 Sunderland.
Any score predictions on the chat there, Wayne?
Yeah, there's a few. David says a 2-0 win. Mick Griffiths going for a 2-0 win as well. Bob Bass going for 5-0. Ryan McCormack, 3-0 to us. Weathers, 2-0 to Sunderland. Conrad Tank, 3-1 to us. So everybody predicting wins for us, which is good to see. Hope everybody's correct.
How many of the old thumbs up we got tonight?
We are currently on 84 with
116 more.
16 more, and we've got 20 minutes left, so surely we're going to smash that 100.
We're going to smash that easy tonight. We're going to smash that as much as we're going to smash QPR on Saturday. So after we've taken care of QPR, Gareth Ainsworth goes to get a haircut because he's just depressed. We'll move on to Blackburn on Wednesday. We go to Ewood Park for the second away game in a week. Blackburn on the same kind of record as us. 1-2, drawn 1, lost 2 in 13th position. They lost to Plymouth last time, all 3-0, which was a great win for the down at home park for the Green Army. They did beat Watford 1-0, but they lost the whole 2-1. So they've had a strange old start to the season, Blackburn. So what's your thoughts on Blackburn, Owen?
I think, they're a weird team, Blackburn. They were last season as well. They started well, they fell away, they improved, and then they fell away again, didn't they? They're a really weird team. I think it'll be a tough game. I think, obviously, the fact we're playing Saturday or Wednesday, we're going to have to use our squad to the fullest. At least we've got a depth to our squad now. So it's going to be a tough match. I think we can go there and get a result. They're in like you said, in very mixed form. They've lost some games that perhaps a team like Blackburn, who theoretically were playoff contenders last season and probably were hoping they would be this season, should be winning. So look, if we're serious about going for playoffs this year, if we're serious about pushing up the league, and it's a game we've got to be going there and winning. It will be tough. It won't be easy. It'll be a battle. It'll be a fight. It always is at Ewood Park. But I can see us getting the 3 points, Terry, I think.
Yeah, do you think it's going to be an easier game at QPR than Blackburn? How do you see the games lined up together?
I don't know. I think they'll both be battles. You've just got to look at last season, haven't you? How some of those so-called weaker teams played against us. They turned it into a fight, into a battle. They broke play up. They fell over a lot. They kicked our players a lot. They fouled. They did as much as they can. And I think that's what we're going to have to put up with again this season, I think. And both games will be a physical battle. Gareth Ainsworth teams are always physical. Blackburn are physical. It's going to be a battle. Both games will be. And I think one of the key things, as well as getting the 3 points, will be coming out of those two games with no injuries.
Yeah, I think, obviously, joking aside, I think it's going to be a right battle down Loftus Road. It's usually a hard place to go, apart from we won last season quite comfortable 3-0 in the end. But I still think it's going to be a difficult game overall. It won't be as easy as a lot of people think it might be. It's going to be a tough battle. And Ewood Park's the same. Ewood Park's always a tough place to go. I think, didn't we lose last season, Ewood Park, Jack?
Yes, we lost 2-0. It was my first visit there. They beat us 2-0 in October. But then we got our own back. We beat them 2-1 on Boxing Day. Late Ellis Sims, when he sort of prodded it in, if you remember that goal, he sort of flicked his foot, toe punt at it. And I think it was the goal that Tony Mowbray went running down the dugout like that. I think that was that goal. But no, I personally think Blackburn will be a harder game. I think Blackburn are a better team than QPR. I think they're more likely to cause us problems than QPR are. I think they're more likely to have the ball against us. QPR, I think we'll probably have, dare I say it, 60-65% of the ball at Loftus Road. I don't think we'll see anywhere near that at Ewood Park. They've got some good players as well. Blackburn, they've got Sam Gallagher up front, who he's a striker I like. He's a solid, tall, physical striker. I wouldn't have minded him at Sunderland for the right price. He probably would have cost a little bit. And I know he's 27, so he doesn't fit our model. But that Smodix in the middle as well. I think he's a tidy little footballer. Smodix, I don't know how to pronounce it. But there's a bit of a derby going on, isn't it? You've got Bradley Dack going back, Tony Mowbray going back to Blackburn. They know the clubs very well. I personally think Blackburn will be the harder game. I think we're more likely to get a win against QPR. I think it'll be very tough to get a win against Blackburn, but it's not impossible.
Definitely. Do you think that we'll go down there and get 3 points? And what's your thoughts on Blackburn overall? Do you think they're going to be top 6 end of the, or just miss out? Do you think in the playoffs?
Well, I think they're a lot. I think they're weaker than what they were last year. I don't know who they've signed, but I know that they lost Dak, they lost Brereton Diaz, didn't they? He's probably their best player. So I've watched them a couple of times this season. They've been hitty missy. You never know which Blackburn's going to turn up. They're either really, really good or they're bang average. So I'm not too sure, it's going to be more. I think I agree with the lads. It's going to be more of a battle down at Blackburn. But again, I think if we play our normal game, if we get a good result against QPR, I don't see any reason why we can't go there and get another 3 points against Blackburn. I think we're a better team.
You think that we won't have as much possession as with Blackburn, but then we didn't have with Southampton, and we sort of played that game quite well, didn't we? So is that going to be more similar game Southampton and Blackburn, do you think?
I think it'll be the tactics. I mean, like you said, the Southampton tactics. Tony Mowbray got it spot on, didn't he? He knew they were going to try and dominate the ball. When they made a mistake, we counter-attacked and got in behind them. So it might be the same type of tactics. He knows Blackburn, he knows the club. And I'm guessing the majority of the players are still there from when he was there, so he knows the lineup. I agree with Jack there. Schmodix is probably their better player in midfield. He's really, really good. And I think we tried to sign him from Peterborough a good couple of years ago, so he's decent. But there's no easy games in this league, is there? They're all tough. They're all a battle. Even the lower league team, the bottom of the table, they're still making a fight. But I think they're a weaker team than what they were last year, and I fancy us to beat them.
Yeah, I mean, just look at last run of games in the last weekend. We beat Southampton 5-0. Leicester, I think, do believe they got beaten in the Leicester that weekend. So there were some strange results. Plymouth beat Blackburn 3-0. So we'll go back to Owen. We go to QPR, say for instance, we go to QPR, we start the same side, we beat them 2-1, 3-1, 2-0, whatever it is. Roberts comes on last 20 minutes, a couple of more substitutions, move on to Blackburn. How do you see Tony Mowbray lining up that team? Does he play the same team as he started against QPR? Or because of Blackburn having a different sort of game plan, would he change up one or two or not?
I think you've got to change, even though we're early in the season, and I know some people saying this, you've got to, I think, rotate some of the players. You've got to, change some of the players up. So, you can see Roberts come back in for Barr. Maybe Job takes a rest, and we see Burstow from the start. I think the back four pretty much stays as it is at this stage. You don't tend to mess with your back four. You tend to keep them as a unit, don't you? We saw last year, didn't we, when everyone was fit, how we had a very settled back four. But with Adji and Dan Ballard, Danny Bath, and Troy Hume. But I think he's got to rotate those forward players, which he did do last year to some extent, didn't he? So because the more you play them, the same lads, the more wear and tear they get, the more risk of injury. It's a long old season. We're going to have a few weeks now of these three game weeks. So I think, you're going to see, perhaps, like I said, Roberts for Barr, maybe Burstow for Job. Maybe even Ekwar drops out, takes a break, and someone comes in and plays. Maybe Pritchard drops back and plays in that too, even though he's perhaps not as strong there. But, just to freshen it up a little bit, I don't think you can keep the team the same 11 for 3, 4, 5, 6 games. Not in modern football with the intensity that we have now.
Would you be tempted to put, like someone mentioned the other day about, say, starting Roberts on the right, put Barr up top? But that's just silly. Now you've got Burstow, unless Burstow is completely fit.
Yeah, I think look, the situation is that I think with Burstow that he's come here to play football, and I think Chelsea would have been looking for assurances that we were going to actually give him minutes. That they're not going to let the player come here and sit on the bench, because that's what he was doing at Chelsea. And he's actually figured for Chelsea 3 times this season, including in a Premier League game. So
was that off the bench, or was that starting on? Off
the bench. He came off the bench against West Ham when they lost. I think he played against Luton, and he played in their Carabao Cup game. So I think he has played 3 times for them, which shows they've got some trust in them. But I suppose Chelsea is a complete basket case of a club at the moment. But I think, he will get minutes. He's got to get minutes. And I think, now we've got these strikers. Now, we've got Khamir. We've got, I don't know where Mayenda is up to with his fitness. Obviously, Rusin's going to start to come into the figuring as well for this. You've got Burstow. You've got to start using the strikers now we've got them, because it just gives us something else. It gives us another option. It gives us another game plan. And I think, against some of these teams like Blackburn, some of these better teams, you need the outball. You need someone who's going to hold it up for you and be up there to help you get out. So I think, he is going to need to change it. Like I said, you can't keep that same 11. And Burstow is going to play minutes, because I think Chelsea will have demanded that as much as they can, because you're not going to send a player to come and sit on the bench at Sunderland, are you? They're going to want him to play.
That kind of means, like, Jack, that Burstow kind of jumps ahead of Semedo now a bit, does it?
Yeah, I think so, Terry. I think Burstow's going to be the one player that we play up front. I agree with what Owen says. Chelsea will have wanted him to get minutes. There might even be a clause in his contract somewhere whereby they can release him, they can recall him. In January if he isn't playing enough. So there might be something like that. So they've got us over a barrel to a certain extent, but that's what you get when you go to a Premier League club and you ask for a loan deal. They'll say, well, yeah, you can have our player, but we specify that he must be playing the majority of games. Do you intend to play him as your number one player? So yeah, I think Burstow will be the long-term number one, but I think Rushin is going to be involved, and Hemia will also get minutes as well. Not too sure about Meyend. I think he might. I hate to write the player off. I don't think he'll be used regularly as your striker. I think he might drift a little bit if he is going to play. He might be in a three as a left or a right. I think the three that we've listed are going to be the strikers: Hemia, Rushin, and Burstow. But yeah, interested to see how he does. I mean, we had a Premier League player last year in Diallo on loan, and look how well he did. So, and he's developed himself, and our fans are screaming for him to come back. So, yeah, interesting to see how he does. In terms of the changes for Blackburn, I would probably put Burstow in if he's fit. I would definitely put Roberts in for Barr, unless Barr has an absolute stormer again. But I think it'd be very hard to leave Patrick Roberts out 2 games in a row. Maybe Pritchard back in for either Bellingham or Dak, maybe one of those, or if not possibly both of them. And I would quite like to see the French right back. I know he might not be ready yet, Pembele, but I'm really excited to see him. If he's fit, I'd be tempted to throw him in. Might be a bit harsh on Try Hume, but I'd quite like to see him at full back. So those are the sort of changes I would make. And it's hard to change a winning team. We might win on Saturday again, but when you've got 2 away games in 3 days, you have to freshen up. You've got, the energy and the travelling in the legs and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think Tony Mowbray was saying about Pembele, about it's hard to drop. It's going to be hard to drop Trey Hume the way he's been playing and sort of in the team, and so it's going to be hard. I mean, he's got to fight. He's got to find his way into the substitutes bench first, and then find his way into the team. Get accustomed to sort of what's happening around the team as well. But Wayne, when you say Barr has another good game like he did against Southampton against QPR, we're in that game, move on again. How can you possibly drop him and bring back Roberts?
Well, that's kind of what we want in it. We want Barr to play well. We want to have these decisions where you want the players are now playing for places where last season where we had Clark and Roberts who were guaranteed a spot and there was nobody challenging. Where now, if you've got that competition for places, we've also got Dave coming in as well, who we've got that competition, so and it might spur Barr on to keep on churning them type of games out. So, but I think Roberts probably will come back in if not Saturday, probably definitely Wednesday. He probably will come back in. He's better than Barr, but like I say, if he picks teams on form, then let him stay in. Why not if he's playing well?
Do you think against Blackburn he'll start Burstow? Would he drop Dak or would he drop Job or what?
I don't know. I guess it'll depend on how the game pans out on Saturday. But from what I can gather, Burstow is fit and ready to go. So it'll probably be either Dak or Job who misses out. I can't see him leaving out Clark for certain. And Neil and Etwa, they won't get left out for Job to drop in. So it'll be one of them two who miss out. But like I say, it's good that we've got these options now. Last year we didn't have that. So all for the good, I think, and it's good now. If one of them does drop out, then we've got the option to bring them off the bench if need be. So stronger squad all around.
So do you think it'll be a double whammy, a win against QPR? And what's your score prediction for Blackburn then?
I think we'll beat Blackburn as well. I'm going to go for the same score. I'm going to go for 2-1 wins. I say if we can go on a run, and why not? Why not? Let's get on a good run, and confidence has flown, and let's hope we can start scoring a few goals. And 2-1 for me, 2-1s.
So this time next week we'll be in the top 5.
Why not? Why not?
Happy days, eh? Happy days.
We've got 110 likes. We've smashed that likes. 116 watching, 110 likes. So thanks everybody who's hit that like button. Greatly appreciate it.
Much appreciated, everybody. Thank you very much. Owen, score predictions on Wednesday?
Against Blackburn, I think we go there. I think we scrap it out. I think we get a 2-1. I think we win. I mean, I honestly, looking at those next 5 games, I can see us taking 13 points out of 15 minimum out of those next 5 if we play as well as we can play. I think there's a lot of optimism there in the squad now. There's a lot of depth there. But yeah, 2-1 against Blackburn. I think we've got the talent to beat them. And I think it's like Wayne was saying, I think they are weaker than last season. I mean, they've lost John Buckley, they've lost Diaz, they've lost a lot of talent. So yeah, I think 2-1. I think we win.
How many points is a disappointment then out of 5 games?
Disappointment. Well, looking at the 5 teams you've got, I think you've got to look at. We've got obviously QPR on Saturday, which is a game we should win. Blackburn have put us down for a win. Sunderland, Cardiff again at home. I think Cardiff, we should be beating Cardiff. Sheffield Wednesday away. I think that should be a win as well. I think the Watford game is one that worries me because they came up last year. They had a game plan. They drew with us, didn't they? 2-2. Thanks to that amazing Roberts finish near the end of the game. So I think it's disappointing. I think if we get less than double figures out of those 5 games, sorry, I think that would be disappointing. If we take less than 10 points out of those 5 games, it would be a disappointment for me.
What's your thoughts, Jack?
Well, I said last week, I think, or the week before, we've had a pretty tough start, haven't we? Do you know what I mean? We've had a Coventry who narrowly missed out on promotion. We had Southampton, who I think will be right up there, an Ipswich team who will fly in. So we've had 3, probably this season's top 6 or top 8 teams, in my opinion. And I looked at September and I said September's a real chance for us to get some points on the board. How many points do I think we'll get from this month? I think we'll get 3 on Saturday. 1 against Blackburn. I'm giving me score prediction away. I know you haven't asked us yet. I think we'll beat Cardiff. And yeah, I'm going to say we'll beat Sheffield Wednesday. So that's how many? 10 from 4. Who's the home game after that? Is it Middlesbrough, Watford? Which way does it go? Watford after that. I think a point there. I dare I say it. I think we're going to stay unbeaten. 3 wins and 2 draws. That's 11. But what do I think would be disappointing? I'm a little bit more laid back than Owen. I think if we get 8, if we were to get 2 wins, 2 draws and a loss, I don't think that would be the end of the world. I think if we got less than that, I'll be a bit disappointed. I think 8 points, it would be great if we can remain unbeaten for the next 5, but I think there might be, I hope there's not, but I think, yeah, anything less than 8, I would be a bit disappointed with.
What's your score prediction as well then, Jack? 1-1?
Yeah, 1-1. Yeah, I sort of give it away there, didn't I? I give it in reverse order. Yeah, I think 1-1. I think they'll score first, and I think we'll come back into it second half and get a deserved draw. But I think it'll be one of those games that a draw's a fair result. Do you know what I mean? I think Blackburn are a decent team. And 4, in my opinion, I think we're going to get 4 away points in a week. And I think that's pretty good going. Do you know what I mean? For a team where we are at the minute, 4 away points is pretty good.
While I'm asking Wayne the same question, people, put your comments down below. Let me know how many points would you be happy with out of those 5 games, right, Wayne?
Same as Jack. I think if any points away from home, I think in this league is a good points. So even if we get points away from home, a point in all the away games is decent. But I'd like to see us get double figures, against them teams on paper. But we all know the games aren't played on paper. Sheffield Wednesday will not be an easy game. They always give us a game, didn't they? So I'm going to say if we can get 10 out of them 5 games, I'd be happy.
I'm like Jack. I think a 3 wins and 2 draws, I'll be out of the moon with that in 5 games. Anything else over that's a bonus, Anything less than 10 is a bit disappointing. So that's my thoughts on it. Any comments there, Wayne?
I saw back in the chat, Conrad's in there. He says, I've seen us beat Blackburn away. Cameron Jones overhead kick and CC a winner, then doing a lap of the ground. David Thompson, I like seeing Barr last season in the away games when he played in the 2 up front. Did well against Norwich. Nice comment from John T. He says, I must say you lads make a very competent team to discuss SAFC matters. Will certainly suit our promotion ambitions as our season moves along. Keep up the good work. So thanks for that, John T. Greatly appreciated. John Nesbitt says, no competition for places means players just assume they are first on the team sheet. I agree with Jack's sentiment. Must go out the window, play your best players. Gunners Nation, Arsenal fan, says he wants to see us guys back in the Premier League. David Thompson, I'd be surprised if there are any changes to the first 11 for QPR. Very difficult to change a team that's winning 5-0. But as you say, we will need to freshen up for Blackburn. John Nesbitt, hard game, will draw. Stuart Winship says, let's not get carried away, boys. All games are different. I would take 9 points right now. Gary Talbot, let's not get carried away. Pretty much it. David Thompson, happy with 9 or more. So with 8. Less than that is disappointing. Mick Griffiths says 1-1 Wednesday. John Nesbitt says, does not matter whether we play at home or away. These young lads don't give a monkeys who they are competing against. Playing without fear.
Absolutely fantastic comments there. So I want to say a big thank you to everybody on the live chat tonight. Thanks for your input. Thanks for your likes on the channel. Thanks for subscribing. And I want to say a big thank you to Owen, SAFC Exile Macam. It's great to have you back on this live stream. Don't leave it too long next time.
I won't, mate. No, I won't. I've got a bit more time now. Now work's kind of changed. I've got more early, so I can get on to a few podcasts.
Nice one.
And if anybody out there hasn't already subscribed to Owen's channel, Owen, what's your channel called?
SAFC Exile Macam, mate. That's what it's called now. That's what it's staying as. And daily news videos on the greatest team in the world.
Absolutely fantastic content, knowledgeable bloke. So happy days. Good luck, mate. Right, we'll go to Jack. Jack, again, thank you for being on the live stream night. Again, you're one of the most knowledgeable people on football I know.
Thanks for that, Terry. I really appreciate your compliment. Yeah, no, it's always good talking about Sunderland, and we're playing well at the minute, aren't we? We're getting points, and it's nice to be in a positive frame of mind. I hope we still are next week after these two matches. And yeah, thanks for everyone for watching. Obviously, we wouldn't have a show if people didn't watch. I know I say that, but we wouldn't really. You know what I mean? We're just four lads talking to ourselves, really, wouldn't we? So thanks for everyone watching, and I'll see everybody later, lads and lasses.
Thank you, and also Wayne. Absolute professional at what he does, absolutely fantastic and a nice friend. Wayne, have you had a good night?
Thanks very much, Terry. Great show again, as always. It's great speaking with you lads about everything Sunderland. 119 watching, 120 likes, which is probably the best we've had for absolutely ages. So thanks very much for everybody who's hit the like button and added comments. Don't forget that the show is also going to be available as a podcast. If you've missed the show, you want to play it back in the car or at work, or you want to put it in your earphones, just as you're walking the dog, it's now going to be available as a podcast. It's on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. So the link's in the description if you want to watch that or listen to that, and see how it goes. But thanks very much, everybody. Appreciate it.
Absolutely fantastic. I was going to say something else, but I've completely forgot. No, that's right. The old-fashioned football shirt. There we go. It's a brand new thing. We're sponsored by the old-fashioned football shirt. Look at Jack's there. Absolutely amazing. Can't see his face, but I can see his shirt. Absolutely fantastic. There we go. So don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Smash the thumbs up. We'll see you next week on SAFC live stream on Thursday. Hopefully with 6 points in the bag. See you later, everybody.
See you later.